Now, Arsenal did not have a good Christmas period. They dropped from 1st in the league to 4th after losing 3 matches in 4 games. And one of Arsenal's biggest problems is their lack of goals. The attacking lineup of Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, Jesus have let the manager Mikel Arteta down badly. And now Arteta should be regretting not signing a striker in the summer. Currently, Arsenal's main centre forward is striker Gabriel Jesus. He is a phenomenal player, technical wise. He's arguably Arsenal's most talented player with his feet. He plays like a true Brazilian. However, Jesus has a noticeable weakness and that he does not score enough goals. He said himself in an interview that scoring isn't his main priority. Now, this is worrying for your main striker to say, especially when Jesus' attacking partners are not scoring. Those comments are going to raise even more eyebrows. However, Jesus is not lying. While he is brilliant with his feet, he does not have the killer instincts of a striker. He is not singularly focused on just scoring goals. We look at Arsenal's biggest rivals in the league, Liverpool and Man City. They both have Erling Haaland and Mohamed Salah, 2 absolute scoring machines. Their sole focus is scoring goals. They make a pass only if it can benefit them getting the ball back and scoring. These two have benefited the two clubs greatly, and while it is challenging to find players who have the same scoring ability of Haaland and Salah, Arsenal need to at least find someone whose sole focus is just scoring goals. Gabriel Jesus is better suited to move to the left wing, where he might be more effective, and he used to play there for Man City a lot of the time. Plus, it will give Martinelli some competition on the left wing position, since Martinelli himself has been massively underperforming this season. So Arsenal are in need of a striker. So what kind of striker, centre forward, should they sign? Well, if we look at all the big clubs, almost all of the big clubs, they have a certain type of centre forward. Man City have Erling Haaland, Liverpool have Darwin Núñez, Man United even bought Rasmus Højlund, and to some extent Aston Villa have Ollie Watkins. Now, all of these strikers are tall, strong, big build. None of them are small in stature, they're not weak. And if you look at Arsenal's 2 strikers, Gabriel Jesus and Eddie Nketiah, they're the opposite of what those 2 strikers are. They're small, short, and not very pacey. So Arsenal should follow the suit of their rivals and buy the same template of a striker of Haaland, Højlund, and Núñez. Someone who is tall, strong, decent pace, good finishing, and that striker Arsenal should go for is Dusan Vlahovic of Juventus. Now, Vlahovic made his name at Fiorentina, where he became an absolute goal machine. In his final 2 seasons at the club in 2021, he scored 33 league goals in the calendar year and became the 2nd player after Cristiano Ronaldo to score that many goals since 1951. So clearly Vlahovic has an eye for a goal. Now, this made Vlahovic a striker in demand, and Arsenal in January of 2022 were heavy favourites to sign him. Arteta and Edu had identified Vlahovic as the type of player he wanted at the club, playing alongside Jesus. But Vlahovic ultimately chose to sign for Juventus. Now, this was understandable because Juventus at that time were a competing team, winning Serie A's, playing in the Champions League. They were one of the top teams in the world. However, since Vlahovic signed for Juventus for 70 million euros, it's all been downhill for Juventus. From match fixing scandals, points deductions, their best players leaving, finishing outside of the top 4. It's not been good 2 years for Juventus and Vlahovic. He might be wondering if he made the wrong choice in signing for Juventus over Arsenal. Now, in his first season at Juventus, it was injury plagued and he only scored 9 goals in 21 appearances. The following season, he played 42 games, so he got his fitness back, but the goals only amounted to 14 and he wasn't able to replicate his Fiorentina scoring form at Juventus. However, in the 3rd current season, things are looking slightly better for Vlahovic. He started the season with 16 games and he's got 6 goals already, so he's on track to have his best season in Juventus. But if Arsenal go in hard for Vlahovic, let him know there's a big plan for him. Arsenal are doing big things. They've got star players. Vlahovic will be playing in the Champions League. He'll be one of their main strikers. If Arsenal go in big for him, he will be and should be tempted to join Arsenal, especially playing in the Premier League and all the fame and success and competitiveness it can offer. Now, as we mentioned before about the player profile of Vlahovic, he's tall, fast, and strong, which fits the mold of the strikers alongside Haaland, Liverpool's Darwin Núñez, Man United's Rasmus Højlund. And though Arsenal missed out on Vlahovic 2 years ago, none of those original factors of Vlahovic being tall, strong, pacey have changed about him. In fact, he's probably better as a striker. In those 2 years at Juventus, he's more experienced, he's more well-rounded as a footballer, he's more mature. So it could make sense for Arsenal to go in harder for him, as he's more of a better player than he was 2 years ago. Now, Arsenal this season have one of the highest percentage of crosses into the box this season, but it made no sense for them to cross because they have no tall striker or good header of the ball. When Arsenal are losing games or they're struggling to score, they often resort to just crossing the balls, but it doesn't go anywhere. And Vlahovic fixes that problem because he stands at 6'3". Yes, he's built built at 6'3". He's a tall striker, he's a good header of the ball, and being a 6'3" makes him inch shorter than Haaland, who's 6'4", and Darwin Núñez is 6'2". So Vlahovic is in between Haaland and Núñez. He's still a tower of a player, big in stature, and height matters in football, especially when you combine it with athleticism that Vlahovic has. Vlahovic is nowhere near as good as Haaland, but he is in that similar mold type of player, in that sense that they've got height and they've got size, but they do not rely on that to be effective. Vlahovic, just like Haaland, likes to play on the last defender's shoulders. He likes getting in the end of through balls and being clinical in the box. He has brilliant movement and spatial awareness, something you expect from smaller type strikers, but Vlahovic, alongside being a big man and having big man qualities, he has speed, direct play and clinical finishing, and Arsenal is exactly looking for that type of striker. And another reason that could help Arsenal get Vlahovic is that there's reports in Italy saying that Juventus are not doing well financially. They need the cash income, and selling Vlahovic to Arsenal for about 50 million could be their best option. Vlahovic is still only 23 years old, and Arsenal could end their striking worries by signing Vlahovic. They should go for Vlahovic instead of signing Ivan Toney, who's more linked with Arsenal. But it makes no sense for Arsenal to go in for Toney, who's been quoted as more expensive than Vlahovic, but Toney is nearly 28 years old. He's far too old in the Arsenal squad. Vlahovic is 5 years younger than Toney, and he'll be on the same timeline as Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, and pretty much the whole Arsenal squad. So Arsenal should go in for Vlahovic, but let me know in the comments if you prefer Vlahovic or Ivan Toney, or is there some other striker Arsenal should go for. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the content.